Back then in the mid-90s, there was still not a lot of options for people who wanted to do circus in the United States. Over in Europe, they were creating shows and they were touring companies and all kinds of edgy, interesting work was happening. But here, there was nothing like that. Artists nowadays who want to perform with a big circus company have many different ways of starting. They might start as gymnasts or as dancers, but some of them will come to a circus school. I grew up in suburban Massachusetts in a very normal family. My parents were school teachers, and every year the circus would come to town. I fell in love with it every year and came home wanting to do something. But there was no opportunity to do any circus at that time. So it wasn't until I was a teenager that I started to think, I can do this myself, I can figure this out myself. And I went and got my first unicycle. When I was 19, I was at college pursuing an international affairs degree, and I thought, this is not where I want to be. I love circus too much, I've got to pursue this seriously. And so I left my university studies to go overseas to Circomedia, which is a school of circus and physical theater in Bristol in the UK. And I spent a year there training their foundational course and learning all the different things, the trapeze and the tight wire and clowning, a huge variety of skills. And that was really the beginning for me of this kind of lifelong career.
Pass, self, self, pass, self, self, pass.
About 20 years ago, I was working in engineering, but I found I was spending more and more time juggling in my free time. And it got to the point where a friend of mine said, hey, do you want to take a little leave of absence from your job and come and perform with me in Japan? So I talked to my boss and I took a short leave of absence. That was February of 1997. I never went back. I've performed all over the world. I've performed in, I think, over 40 different countries. I got a wonderful experience of being part of the creation team of the show Totem with Cirque du Soleil. We created this act that's still running in the show now, and I toured with that show for 5 years. Shana used to be a performer with me. She used to be on the road, and at one point she got pregnant. So she decided to come off the road, but very quickly people in the kind of Philadelphia area found out that in my house I had knocked out a ceiling, and I had 17-foot ceilings with rigging points and trapezes and cordelice ropes. So Shana started teaching private lessons. Eventually it got such demand that we're setting the rig up out in the backyard during the summer. So about 8 years ago we moved into this space.
It's been a wonderful experience for us to be just integrated into the fabric of Germantown. We moved out here for very practical reasons. We were looking for more space. We lived in Center City, and we wanted places with high ceilings and more square footage so that we could have juggling studios and trapeze spaces just for my husband and I, for ourselves, to practice in. And it just became a natural fit.
My house is 2 blocks from here. You know, I walk to work, and it's a wonderful place to live, and the community that we slowly build over time is becoming very vibrant. It's become the little circus community here in Philadelphia.
At the Philadelphia School of Circus Arts, we offer classes that start as young as 18 months old, and we go up from there. We have taught circus classes, classes for kindergartners, and as the kids get older, they can choose more of a specialization. So in the very young classes, they're doing a little bit of everything.
It's amazing how they really encourage one another. There's no competition. I did it, and I want to make sure that you can do it too. Sure, they're going to get stronger and probably more flexible, but at this age, for 7 to 10-year-olds, I want them to move around, be silly, have fun, have a good time, and make some friends.
My husband and I both have a lot of experience as performers, and we've always believed that circus is essentially a performing art. It's not an athletic discipline, it's a performing art.
These felt really good too. If I pick you up a little higher, if it gets stuck on your shoulder, it pops off. Oh, great.
I've danced since I was 3, and I graduated with a degree in dance and a degree in biology, and after college I was bored and I wanted to keep moving, so I found aerials. Eventually, after training here, I started getting offered jobs and teaching and performing and things like that, so it just kind of snowballed.
I was a gymnast for 16 years. Then I actually went to the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine to get my master's degree in psychology. And the circus came to town and I went to see it, and I was like, I could do that. And then one class turned into 5 classes, which turned into 5 hours a day here, and now I do it full time.
Artists nowadays who want to perform with a big circus company have many different ways of starting. They might start as gymnasts or as dancers, but some of them will come to a circus school and they will learn to juggle like I did and then kind of grow from there.
Strangely enough, a lot of people think that if you're good at sports, you'll be good at juggling. While eye-hand coordination is an important part of juggling, there's another part of the brain that really has more to do with mathematics. That it's not that what I'm doing is actually physically that hard. I'm really just taking a beanbag, throwing it 2 feet up in the air, and it comes down. So my motor skills don't have to be that developed. But keeping track of 5, maybe 7 balls in the air at one time use actually a different part of the brain. And kind of people who are interested in juggling and like to juggle, most recreational jugglers are scientists, engineers, people in the fields of science.
Static trapeze is the first aerial skill that I learned when I went to England. Single bars, 2 ropes with a bar at the bottom. The bars move a little bit, they sway back and forth a little bit, but they're not swinging, they're not flying. The goal is not to fly through the air. The goal is to climb on them and do acrobatic maneuvers around them. Tight wire was one of my first loves when I went to circus school, and walking on a tight wire is similar to juggling in that it is a mental focus discipline. You have to really concentrate and let the world kind of disappear around you. Cordless is single rope. It is a rope hanging straight down from the ceiling. Those ropes are difficult to climb, but they're also soft in your hands, and so you can wrap them around your body, make different kinds of knots. People will do climbs and drops and all kinds of intricate positions with them. One of our newest programs here is contortion for young people, and that's a surprisingly popular discipline. We've got a lot of parents of very bendy children who want to find out where to go with that. It's surprising how kids get strong without noticing it here. They don't think of themselves as exercising. They're just having fun, and they're climbing, and they're hanging upside down, and they're running all over the place, and they have a great time, and yet they're building all of this strength and coordination. It's also a good place for kids who are not necessarily great athletes. They may not be the soccer players, the football players, the baseball players. They might be kids who just can't quite find their niche. And in here, there's sort of something for everybody.
Like, please stop here.
For adults, fitness level comes into play. So if you have someone who's really out of shape, it might be good to start with what we call a circus strong class or a fundamentals class. Students who are more athletically inclined might jump right into our aerials classes. Some of them, within a year, will be doing our student showcases and performing for their friends and family. All the classes we teach here are really well suited for both genders. Right now for our adults, it's probably 3/4 women, I'd say. Our next big milestone is opening a school called Circadium. And Circadium is an outgrowth of the current school. It's a nonprofit organization that has the mission of training professional artists.
What we're looking to do is find young people from around the country and around the world who want to come to Philadelphia and want to create. What we do and what we try to encourage the students to do not only challenges the body but challenges the mind and makes you try to come up with things that maybe no one has ever done before. And that's what we're going to be challenging our students to do.
We try very hard to think of circus as a very expansive activity that can incorporate lots of different skills and types of people. Any student can come here at any level, any fitness ability. We take everybody.